ولا تفعل بي ما أنا أهله. وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك لحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توأ وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد. Mu'mineen, Mu'minat, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the second night of Jashn Baqiyatullah. We have again a very short program. We just had Brother Mahdi reciting Dua Kumail. Inshallah, we'll have a short Quran recitation by two brothers. We'll have a manqabat, and then we're going to get to the quiz, which is kind of our highlight for the night. The quiz is going to be based on a few general questions on Imam Mahdi, and some questions are also going to be from the debate from last night. Inshallah, we'll recap a little bit on the debate. But for the most part, a lot of the questions you should be able to answer. So let's see how you guys do. And then of course we'll have this speech by Sayyid, who is I heard he's on his way as well. Yes, so he's on his way, inshallah, and we'll be blessed with his speech, his wise words as well. And then inshallah we'll adjourn with ziyarat. So I'd like to first call Brother Iman and Brother Bilal for Quran recitation in Arabic and the translation. Please welcome them with a loud salawat.
صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأذان من الله ورسوله إلى الناس يوم الحج الأكبر أن الله بريء من المشركين ورسوله.
Now the translation. I begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent and merciful. As an announcement from Allah and His Messenger to the people assembled on the day of the great pilgrimage, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger dissolved treaty obligations with the pagans. Surah Tawbah, Ayat 3. And now the tafsir. Jabir has narrated a tradition regarding this verse from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. And Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam. The day of great pilgrimage refers to the day of the reappearance of Imam Mahdi Ajallah Ta'ala Farajak. And Azan refers to Imam Ajallah Ta'ala Farajak calling to the people towards him. Bihar al-Anwar, Volume 51, Tafsir Ayashi.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم يعن للذين آمنوا أن تخشع قلوبهم لذكر الله وما نزل من الحق ولا يكونوا كالذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبل فطال عليهم الأمد فقست قلوبهم وكثير منهم فاسقون.
now the translation. Has not the time arrived for the believers that their hearts and all humanity should engage in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and of the truth which has been revealed to them, and that they should not become like those to whom was given revelation aforetime? But long ago, long ages passed over them, and their hearts grew hard. For many among them there are rebellious transgressors. Surah Hadid, Ayat 18. And now the tafsir. This verse had been revealed in the excellence of Imam Zamana. Fatallah alayhimul amadu refers to the era of occultation, al-muhajja.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَلَئِنْ جَاءَ نَصْرٌ مِّن رَّبِّكَ لَيَقُولُنَّ إِنَّا كُنَّا مَعَكُمْ صَدَقَ اللَّهُ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ.
And if help comes to thee from thy Lord, they are sure to say, we have always been with you. Surah Ankabut, Ayat 10. Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam says, La in ja'a nasru min rabbika, when the help of your Lord comes, means when Imam Mahdi will reappear. Imam's reappearance is that help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which he had promised. Al-Muhajja, page 270. Salawat.
Jazakallah, brothers. This was Brother Iman and Brother Bilal who are doing a beautiful recitation of the Quran, as well as references for the translation as well. And as Sayyid, I believe, said yesterday, it's an amazing thing to be able to do not just the translation, but also the tafsir. So we should definitely all look into that. Next, we're moving on to the manqabat session of the Jashn, inshallah. I'd like to call forward Brother Abbas Abidi to bless this mahfil with the poetry of the Ahlul Bayt. Welcome him with a loud salawat.
By the good salawat. میں ہوا سجدہ ہوا مسجد ہوئی کعبہ ہوا میں ہوا سجدہ ہوا مسجد ہوئی کعبہ ہر کوئی ہے آپ کے دیدار کو ترسا ہوا میں ہوا سجدہ مسجد ہوئی کعبہ دیکھتا رہتا ہوں ہاتھوں کی لکیریں رات دن دیکھتا رہتا ہوں ہاتھوں کی لکیریں رات دن آپ کا دیدار ہو شاید کہیں لکھا ہوا سجدہ ہوا مسجد ہوئی کعبہ ہوا بائے بسم اللہ کے نکتے کی غیبت کی قسم بائے بسم اللہ کے نکتے کی غیبت کے سبب آج تک قرآن ہے تفسیر سے بچھڑا ہوا میں ہوا سجدہ ہوا مسجد ہوئی کعبہ ہوا اور آئے اور کم بزنی کہہ کے زندہ کیجئے آئے اور کم بزنی کہہ کے زندہ کیجئے منتظر ہوں زندگی کی قبر میں سویا ہوا اور وہ مجسم منتظر اور میں ادھورا انتظار وہ مجسم منتظر اور میں ادھورا انتظار الاجل کہتے ہوئے میں یوں بھی شرمندہ ہوا میں ہوا سجدہ ہوا مسجد ہوئی کعبہ سجدہ ہوا مسجد ہوئی کعبہ ہوا تو نہ گیا تو میں خود موت تک آ جاؤں گا تو نہ گیا تو میں خود موت تک آ جاؤں گا میں نے بھی ملنے کا ہے ایک راستہ سوچا ہوا میں ہوا سجدہ ہوا مسجد ہوئی کعبہ ہوا سلوات
MashaAllah. This was again Brother Abbas Abdi who recited a beautiful manqabat in the honor of the Ahlul Bayt. So now we really quickly just want to skim over the debate from yesterday. As you guys, if you guys were here yesterday, I know I can recognize some faces here. It was a pretty interesting debate, right? We had it was about 15 minutes. It was myself acting as a Shia, right? And then this is
and I was acting as a Sunni. And if you guys remember from yesterday's debate, I had a few questions to ask about Imam Mahdi.
So we're going to do kind of a run-through of basically what happened yesterday, just for everyone to kind of be ready for that quiz today. So Let's start with the salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, Assalamu alaikum again.
Assalam again.
If you remember, my questions from yesterday were, if Imam Mahdi has already been born, then when was that? And where was he born? Again, another question was, let's see, how does that make him? What else?
Yeah, so those were some of the questions that you had asked. I believe also some of the other questions were that what exactly is ghaibat, right? And that's a pretty important one, especially considering that Sunnis, or non-Shias, apologies, right, you're not a Sunni, have that question about what is ghaibat, right? And for them, they think it means that you're invisible. But the reality, as we found out, was
It just means that he's in hiding. Well, not really hiding, but it just means that once we see him, we don't recognize him. Like how Prophet Yusuf was not recognized by his brothers.
exactly. So another question that we discussed was, why can't you or I see him, right? And the example we gave, does anybody remember by any chance? The sun behind the clouds is a good example. That's a good one because that tells us about the benefits, right? Just like on a rainy day, the sun does benefit us, even though it's behind the clouds, but we don't see those benefits, right? And the other example that we gave was the most evil person in the entire world, Shaitan, right? He's hiding, he's invisible to us, and we can't see him, but he does his work. And I believe we had a couple more questions as far as reappearance.
Yeah, we had some questions about reappearance, and that was, when is he going to reappear? Ultimately, we all know that it's up to Allah, and of course, our prayers do help. Like in the story of Prophet Musa, how the prayers of the Israelites brought back the reappearance by 175 years. So, of course, that helps.
Right, and then we also discussed what's the point, right? That was one of the biggest highlights, and the story that we gave was the Prophet Musa going to Mount Tur, coming across a beetle, right? The beetle, Prophet Musa, as he's going to Mount Tur, he sees a beetle on his way, and he says, for a brief moment, he says, "Oh Allah, why did you create this beetle? I mean, what use of he is he to me, right?" And he goes to Mount Tur and he does his du'as and his supplications, and so on and so forth. And then as he's returning, Allah asks him, "Oh Musa, do you want to ask me the question about the beetle? Do you want to know what the beetle was thinking at that moment?" And then Musa replies, "No, I don't know what the beetle was thinking." And Allah replied, "The beetle thought at that moment, 'Oh Allah, why did you create Musa? Of what use is he to me?'" Right? So we can't question why Allah created anything because we're not at that stage of understanding. We don't know the wisdom behind Allah's decisions. And as far as where he will reappear from and what's he going to do, I'm going to let Brother Amid answer those.
Well, we know that he's going to come back from the Kaaba at the same place where the Prophet of Allah announced his prophethood. And what's he going to do after he reappears? Well, he's going to have the same message as the Prophet of Allah. He's going to do the same exact thing, and that's to spread Islam throughout the land. He's going to, he's going to bring the truth to everybody here.
Exactly. So that's just kind of a quick recap of the debate, right? That's a really, really abridged version. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and move into the quiz. So let's get into that. And we gave some references here at the end. We're going to have a setup to have the questions on the board. So you'll be able to see the questions. And we're going to pick someone from the audience. There's also prizes, by the way. So incentives. Hashtag incentives. Yes, if you want to. And then as soon as we're done with that, we'll hand out the prizes immediately. And then it should be taking no more than 20 minutes. And then inshallah, Sayyid will be making his speech. So to get started with the quiz, I'm going to invite Brother Mahdi and Brother Hassan to host the quiz. Please welcome them with a loud salawat.
Hello.
The ladies' mic, I think, is too far ahead. If you can move back with that microphone, it will help us out. In the interest of time, we're going to cut short on the quiz a lot. I'm only going to ask 3 questions on each side, so pick wisely. We do have a lot of prizes, so we might do a quiz after the speech.
Hello.
So I think we'll give the sisters a chance to go first. Now, can the sisters see the board?
Yes.
All right. Choose wisely. Choose. This is a Jeopardy style quiz. As you can see, if you guys get the right answer, you will get the points. If you get the wrong answers, we will subtract the points. I think Brother Sajjad is keeping the score. He's really good at math, so we will give him that. So go ahead and choose. Where do you want to start? All the questions are about the 12th Imam, by the way.
General knowledge 300.
What was that?
General knowledge.
General knowledge, how much?
300.
General knowledge, 300. Okay. Give a title of the 12th Imam and its meaning. So one of the titles of the Imam and its meaning.
Al-Qaim.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was fast. What does that mean? Any idea? Anybody wants to help her out? Any adults want to help her out? Say that again?
The guide.
The guide? I don't know. I think you're confused with another name. Right? Yes. So you want to give it another try? Okay, we'll give you the points for this because you did say half of the answer right. So because it's a happy occasion, we won't penalize you for this. Can we see the answers? So these are some of the names. A lot of the flyers been going around saying Jashn Baqiyatullah. A lot of people have no idea what kind of Jashn we're going to happen. They don't know what Baqiyatullah means. I had to do a lot of explanation that this is for the 12th Imam. This is the name of his meaning, and here are some of now Al-Qaim. The translation says the upriser. Are you happy with that translation? Yes, is happy with that translation? So that's what it means, I guess. So Salwa. All right, for the boys. Now, can the sisters give her gift? I hope she got her gift. Yeah, you guys have the gifts in there. So let's see who will answer this. Pick a question, guys. Who wants to go? You want to go? Okay, pick something. What? Come here. His mouth is filled with chocolate. I don't know how he's going to answer this. What?
Ghaibat.
Ghaibat? Okay, which one? How much?
300.
300. Okay, wise guy. All right. He wants to at least tie with the girls. Name 2 prophets that are also living in Ghaibat like our Imam. Imam Isa alayhi salam. Okay, what else? Maybe someone who's still on the earth, like still right here amongst us. Yeah, that's the Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. Even though there's a debate about his prophethood, right? He's a prophet, right? He's a prophet. All right. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else wants to help him out with the other prophet? Okay, we got a hand up over there. He already said that. Ilyas, I said, very good. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. All right, let's go back to the girls. And pick one, girls. We're tied for 300 each.
Just choose any. Reappearance 300.
Reappearance 300. 300 seems to be popular. There's your question. After the reappearance of Imam Zamana Jalla Ta'ala Farajul Sharif, who will be the first person to pledge allegiance to him? The first person to pledge allegiance to him. Okay, this is confusing.
Prophet Isa.
Prophet Isa will be the first person to pledge allegiance. Are you 100% sure about this?
Yes, she's 100% sure.
She is 100% sure. Let's see the answer. Says Hazrat Jibrail will be. I didn't know this answer myself. So, what do you say? She answered Hazrat Isa. They're saying it's Hazrat Jibrail. Do we give her the...
Jibreel is not a person. Like
what do you mean he's not a person? He's not imaginary.
I mean to say, he's not here on earth. I mean, he's a here on earth, but
So
not technically.
the definition of a person, because there's a confusion. Look at that, they're editing it right now. Okay, okay. So let's give her this one. Let's give her this one because this was a little bit confusing. So loud salawat for the sister. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. All right. Let's for the boys. Who wants to go? I guess you don't. You guys don't. You don't know what's in there. There could be like a, iPhone 10 in there for all you know. Okay, go ahead. Come here. Come here. All right, be wise.
About 500.
500. Okay then. All right. So, look, this is Jeopardy. If you don't get this, we'll go down by 500 points. All right. Okay, there you go. What were the names of the 4 special deputies in Ghaibat al-Sughra, minor occultation? All yours, man. I don't know.
Uthman, Muhammad, Hussein, and Muhammad, Hussein, Ali were the 4 names.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There's a good chance one of them will be Ali. There's a good chance one of them will be a Muhammad. I like your idea, the way you've done it. You didn't answer it in the form of a question. This is Jeopardy. You have to answer the question. No, that's okay. I'm just joking with you. That's okay. Anybody wants to help him out? Anybody wants to help him out? Come on. 4 deputies. Give me 1 deputy. Okay. Aja. If you lift your hand up, then yeah.
Is it one like Hassan bin Ra?
I think you get a quarter of the gift, maybe. I don't know I don't know how that works. You answered 3 more questions for the full gift. Anybody else wants to help him on? All right, let's go on with this question. Because he just got 1 answer right. So because he said Muhammad, Ali, do we just give it to them or no? Well, we did not say full names, yes. So I guess we will give it to him. Good job, guys. You did say the names. These are really long names. They're hard to remember, but you did say the names. So he got one of them right. Should we give him something too? No? All right, okay, forget it. All right. Loud salawat for him. Salli ala. Okay, so the guys, they went for 500, so they're leading by a little bit. Let's go with the girls now.
General knowledge 100.
General knowledge 100. Okay, when was the Imam born?
15th Shaban, 255 AC.
All right.
AH.
So that's after Hijri. Very good. We gave you 100 points. So, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. Can we have the score, please? No, I think we should do the boys' side because they're ahead by 1 question. So the boys, and then we'll do the score. So who's going next? Who wants to go next? Get an adult, okay? How about an adult go this time? No adults, okay? Come on. But he didn't get his prize. He never got his prize. So give him an opportunity.
General knowledge 200.
General knowledge 200 for the win. Okay, all right. What day did Imam become an Imam and going into Ghaibat? Well, I mean, I think the age is just one answer. So, go ahead.
He was 5 years old.
Good job. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Do you have the score, Brother? For who? How much? What? Okay. We got 3 more gifts on this side. How many gifts do we have on the other side?
3 more.
3 more? All right, let's just give out these gifts. Who else wants to go?
It's our turn now.
Yes. Go ahead. Choose one. Go ahead, sisters.
Oh, 400 general knowledge.
400 general knowledge. When Imam Zamana was born, what ayat was written on his right hand? All right, this is supposed to be general knowledge. Everybody knows this. Go ahead, $400 on the line.
Nasr Minallahi Fathil Kareem.
Oh, that's a very, very nice guess. Very nice guess. I don't know if that's the right answer. Honestly, I don't think that is the right answer. Can we? She's saying Nasrul Minallahi Fathil Kareem was on his hand, but I don't think that's the right answer. You want to take another guess, or you want to see the answer? Anybody else in the ladies want to help her out? Go ahead. Let's see the answer. So that's the ayat, chapter from Bani Israel. Truth has come, falsehood has vanished. You know the famous ayat, the Ja'al haqq zakhul batil innal batil wa kana zahuqa, that one. So that's good. I think the girls just lost 400 points. So let's go with the boys. Choose one. Yes. Aaj. 500. नहीं इधर आओ आ General knowledge 500. See, he's not sure he's going to get this right. He doesn't want to be on the camera. Who was the first person who completed 20 Hajj just for the sake of meeting the Imam Zamana and was successful? It's a great question. General knowledge. You're supposed to know this. All right, let's go with the answer. Let's see what the answer is. You knew that, but too late. You can't do it after the buzzer. You just lost $500. Let's go with the sisters. Apparently, there's sawab points. It's the same. The S in the dollar came from sawab.
Ghaibat.
Go ahead.
Ghaibat 100.
Ghaibat 100. So I think we're talking about the major occultation in this question, because we already did the minor occultation. So which year did the Imam go into Ghaibat?
Major.
Major, yeah.
Uh, 260 AH.
Let's see the answer. 260 AH. Very good. Very good. You've just made 100 points for the 100 sawab points for the girl side. So let's have her gift. Come on, guys. Let's do this. One more person. One more person. You want to go? Oh, who? Aja. See, this guy's coming up, so he knows what he's doing. So he's confident. What do you want?
Ghaibat 200.
Ghaibat 200, please. All right. Is it possible that you can see the Imam in front of you during Ghaibat, but you don't recognize that it's him? I guess it's a yes or no answer.
Yes.
All right, then that's the right answer. Good job. And there's an example right there. Just like Prophet Yusuf's brothers saw him and they couldn't recognize him. So it's just like that. Good job. 200 points. Nice gift for you. Go ahead, sisters. Pick one. Pick one.
Reappearance 100.
Reappearance 100.
We apparently have very little girls here, like 7 to 8.
Yeah. All the boys are like 2 and 3 here. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, right.
So Imam Mahdi Ajallah Ta'ala Faraju Sahib will reappear in the city of dash by the dash. Where will he reappear? Which city? And in that city is that
Makkah by the Kaaba.
all right, good job. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And now the guys, come on. We have 2 more gifts left. Who wants it? I think you already went. You come. Who didn't go yet? Who didn't go yet? Somebody from the back, maybe in the back room. Oh, Shabir, I saw something. All right, Abed wants to go. Go ahead, Abed, pick one. You can go. You made these questions? Okay. So, okay, you want to go? No, you already got a gift. One and one if you go. It doesn't matter. Just pick a question. Pick a question and everybody will help you. Which one did you say? 100 Sawab mix. Come on. Okay, who is Imam most similar to in terms of his reappearance, characteristics, attributes, names, etc. All right, let him have a gift. Salawat for him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. All right, let's go to the next one for the sisters. I think this is the last one, right?
Sawab makes 200.
Sawab makes 200. Let's see what we got. Which masjid was constructed by the order of Imam Zamana? Very famous masjid.
Wait, I don't know.
Somewhere in Iran, I think. Come on, you got this.
Junkadan.
Very good, very good. That's the answer. So,
Responsibility of the Shias during Ghabat, and the answer is to participate in events where there's Ghabat. It was on the fly. That's what they told me.
This is the best gift. You know that? It's the best gift.
Okay, then you do it over here.
all right. So we'll go with the on the men's side. Apparently, there's a special question. This is the last one. Okay, if you guys answer this one, you get a prize, and then after that, we'll have a speech. So, name one responsibility. So apparently, so in Mikyalul Makarim, they have listed a few responsibilities that we have during the time of Ghaibat. Who can come up and name one? Were you on the? Did you make the? No, I didn't. No, okay, come. I don't know about this. You didn't tell him anything? All right. Okay, so now I want you to answer this in detail because apparently the last price is a very special price. So what are the responsibilities? Not just one, but what are the few responsibilities during the time of the
I was one.
No, I think it's when you see that what's in there, you'll be worth it.
Okay. So you have to act as if the imam was always there. Like for example, whatever you do, you always have to remember that the imam's coming. You have to prepare yourself for the imam. Not just that I'm gonna wait until the imam comes, then I have to prepare myself, or like just pray to become one of the 313. You have to actually act upon it every single day. Another one would be like, don't ever. Wait, what was it?
What did he tell you? You forgot?
You didn't tell me.
Right, last one, come on.
So either way, another one was. Yeah, just think for a second.
Yeah.
Time's up. So another one is that always keep the imam in mind. Never forget about him, and everything you do in the sake of Allah. So as brother said in his speech last night, he said that always remember that Allah is watching you, and also that
Allah is watching you, and that's good. That's good. That's good. Let's give it to him. Come on, get your gift. Get your gift. And so I guess we all learned a little bit about it. I mean, we do have a whole bunch of questions that weren't answered, especially the bottom ones. Nobody wanted to touch the $500 questions. They were a little tough. I did look at them earlier. And the whole idea of this is a lot of us, we think we know, but we don't. Maybe this will give us an opportunity to go back and study. Maybe we didn't know the four people during the minor occultation of the imams. Maybe there's a significance why we need to know this number, know about these people to see what are the characteristics of the helpers of the imam. So maybe we will go back, do some homework. I myself, I will, do some homework. Thank you for the sisters and brothers and everybody who took part in this. And a special thanks to the brothers who arranged for the gifts, who put this quiz together over here, and who have been coming here for the last 2 days. Very, very special thanks to the people who sponsored the tabarruk, people who sponsored the majalis over here. I would like to request you all to please recite a Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of the sponsors. Please recite a Surah Fatiha for Ali Imdad Haidari, Jafri Haidari, Nishat Haidari, Raza Haidari, Naqi Haidari, Ali Hussain Noor. Also, I would like to ask you to include the marhumin of the Sajad's family, Ammar's family, and Fazal's family, and everybody else who took part and helped us out with this. Salwan. Thank you, Farhan Hassan, for helping us out with everything over here. With this, I would like to request and Sayyid to please come and take the pulpit. I would also like to request everyone to come a little bit closer to the member if that's possible. That would help. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please come just a little bit, tiny bit closer. And please do stay for dinner. We will be having dinner right after the speech. Loud salawat.
Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين الغرر الميامين سيما بقية الله في الأرضين وحجته على الخلائق أجمعين سيدنا وإمام زماننا وولي نعمتنا مهدي هذه الأمة وطاووس أهل الجنة الحجة ابن الحسن العسكري فداه أرواح العالمين صلوات على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Last night we talked about one of the lesser known but pivotal roles played by God's vicegerents and representatives and proofs on earth. The fact that our benefit from the Imam of our time doesn't start the moment he reappears. MashaAllah, the brothers and sisters have been engaged in this discussion since last night. And I think it's a given at this point that the mere existence of the Imam is a source of warmth and a lifeline for those who believe in him as well as those who reject him. Such is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya man yu'ti man sa'alah. Ya man يعطي من لم يسأله ومن لم يعرفه تحننا منه ورحمة. أعطني بمسألتي إياك جميع خير الدنيا وجميع خير الآخرة. This dua that is recited after each prayer in the holy month of Rajab, Allah gives abundantly to those who ask Him, as well as those who don't ask Him, as well as those who don't even know Him, out of His sheer mercy and compassion and generosity. The mere existence of Imam al-Zaman is a lifeline for God's creations from beginning to end. This entire universe revolves around the Imam and God's proof. Without him, the universe would spin out of control. Imagine if we didn't have the sun at the center of the solar system. There's a reason why the Messenger of Allah, the Prophet of Mercy, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, provides the example and the euphemism of the sun behind the clouds, because for a simpleton who refuses to acknowledge the benefit that they receive from the sun, someone whose only understanding of the sun is that it's a source of warmth or a source of light. But if someone dug a little deeper, if someone asked more profound questions and utilized the faculty of ilm, the faculty of aql, with which he has been endowed, or she, they'll recognize that the sun isn't just about warmth and light. Without the sun's gravitational pull, this entire solar system would spin completely out of control. We would be sprung into the abyss of deep space. The entire universe would be out of whack without its focal point, God's proof on earth. لولا الحجة لساخت الأرض بأهلها. As can be extrapolated from a number of traditions. This concept that without God's proof, this entire universe would collapse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the universe with physical laws, with universal laws. These laws guarantee and ensure that the universe functions in a manner that is suited to the purpose of creation. And the most central law in all of this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always has a proof, always has a representative, always has someone who is what we call wajhullah, yadullah, babullah. أين باب الله الذي منه يؤتى أين وجه الله الذي إليه يتوجه الأولياء أين السبب المتصل بين الأرض والسماء. Unlike Wahhabis who say that God looks like a human being. He has very thick, fluffy, mushy, disheveled hair, sort of like an afro, is the way they describe him. Literally. I'm not even joking, true story. They say that God has a hand, although it's ginormous. He has feet, although they're so big, no shoe would fit in those feet. This is in their literature. This is in their actual books. God has all of these physical attributes, but they just happen to be super duper big. Unlike them, when we say wajhullah, what we're talking about is الذي يتوجه إليه الأولياء. Wajh means jiha. Wajh means direction. It doesn't mean a physical face with eyes, lips, nose, and eyebrows. It means the direction you need to focus if you want to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not be sprung into deep space uncontrollably. أين باب الله الذي منه يؤتى. What does the Quran say about using doors when you're trying to enter a house? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you want to enter a house, you use the main entrance. You use the door. Who is the door? أنا مدينة العلم وعلي بابها فمن أراد المدينة والحكمة فليأتها من بابها. They concoct a hadith. عمر سقفها, Abu Bakr حيطانها, Uthman, God knows what facilities that are required in a city. It doesn't matter. What matters is what? The door. وَأْتُوا الْبُيُوتَ مِنْ أَبْوَابِهَا أَيْنَ بَابُ اللَّهِ أَيْنَ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ أَيْنَ السَّبَبُ الْمُتَّصِلُ بَيْنَ الْأَرْضِ وَالسَّمَاءِ. He is the rope that connects the divine, the supernatural, the realm that envelops the physical world as well as ours. That's why last night I talked about the adjustments, right? This dominion, this authority that is not seen by us. We just don't recognize it. We don't understand. The adjustments are made in the background. The tweaks, the changes, we call them providence, fate, serendipity. We may even call them, even the atheists, the non-believers, you know what they call these adjustments that are made? They can't explain how suddenly they make this trade and they make a truckload of money. Even they can't explain it. They don't understand it. So what do they say? What do they call it? They call it luck. Oh, I got lucky. In other words, it's a pure coincidence. But he knows and she knows this could not have been a coincidence. Let me tell you a quick story and move on. I have a good friend who happens to be an emergency care doctor, a professional in emergency care. He was telling me one day that if you see a doctor who doesn't believe in God, that doctor must be drowning in ignorance. Because as doctors, we see the hand of God changing things, manipulating things, making adjustments right before our eyes every single day. Maybe a farmer doesn't see it as often. Maybe a taxi driver doesn't see it. Maybe a university professor doesn't get it. But as a doctor, we can see how our actions, our knowledge, our medicines fail only to have something intervene to change the outcome, to change the result. So he gave me a couple of really interesting examples, one of which is this. He says, one day I'm at the hospital, I'm on call. He's the head of the department at his hospital. He says, we got a call that there is a patient outside who has OD'd. So an overdose. So we ran outside and I realized, he says, the reason they had assumed it was a drug overdose, even though it wasn't. It turns out that it was a heart attack. But because the poor guy was black, the first thing you assume is what? It's a drug overdose, subhanAllah. Talk about prejudice. He says, so I went there and obviously he wasn't in a good condition by any stretch of imagination. He had a heart attack. His heart had stopped. So we pick him up. We take him straight to the OR. We put him on the operating table. And we do everything we can. Now, here's a critical point to remember. He says his age was roughly 95 years old. Now, the thing is, when you bring someone at that age, normally, doctors will say that you do not resuscitate a person who has had a heart attack or a stroke and is at that age. The reason is, even if they do end up being resuscitated, even if their vital organs come back to their normal levels, usually they will be in a vegetative state, right? Because with every passing moment, brain cells are dying, and at that age, the chances of them regaining a functioning life are slim to none. So he says, we have this rule in medicine, but I didn't want to declare his death. I didn't want to announce his death. The reason for that is, he says, psychologically speaking, if a patient is declared dead while his family haven't arrived at the scene, haven't arrived at the hospital, they will not be able to find closure. It'll be much more difficult for them to accept that their loved one has passed away. So I asked, I said, does he have any family members? They said, yes, his wife is on the way. So I said, I'm not going to announce his death. Let's keep trying. Let's do whatever we can. He says, but I knew and my team knew that he didn't have a chance. His heart had stopped for over 20 minutes, 25 minutes. The EKG machine was flatlining, nothing. There's no sign of life at all. But we kept trying and we kept giving him shocks, adrenaline shots right in the heart and so on. Waiting for his wife to come. And all we were waiting for was the wife to arrive at the scene so we could announce his death. End of story. He says, so as we're trying or pretending to try, his wife is brought in on a wheelchair. He says, so we saw the wife. The wife didn't even look at us. She went straight to her husband. She grabbed his hand. She looked up and said, God, give me one more hour. Just one more hour. He said, we felt so sorry for her, knowing that she's not going to get her wish. We kind of just looked at each other, sympathizing with this old woman. She was in her 90s as well. He said, but as soon as she said, God, give me one more hour, the heart started beating again, and we could see it on the EKG machine. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He said this was such a shock for us that some of my team members started crying. So then he said that the husband remained alive all night long. In other words, she asked for an hour, Allah gave her 12 hours. After 12 hours, he passed away. But he passed away with her in peace. She was at peace with her husband dying after having those few precious hours spent with him. Brothers and sisters, we can see the hand of God in our lives every single day. This friend of mine was saying, as a doctor, I know God was the one who intervened in this. It wasn't me, we had all but given up on him. So the Imam makes these adjustments, and that is a critical point to keep in mind because we need him. We need him. Yes, he does a lot of adjustments in the background. You think that you just get out of bed, brush your teeth, wear your clothes, get in the car, drive your car to school, and you just miss an accident that was about to happen. But what you don't realize is that that was not an accident. What you don't realize is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the proof of Allah, through the Imam of the time, is making adjustments so as to make sure that our lives remain on track. Yes, of course there are ups and downs. That's part of the test. And every once in a while, we have something in our lives that's actually painful, that actually hurts us. But again, as we explained last night, you should also recognize that this is in your own good. How? In what way? Is it even possible for me to go through all of this pain and emerge better off? Well, of course you're not going to make any sense out of it. Just like when a child is taken in to the doctor to get their vaccinations done. The child screams and thinks, what cruel parent are you? To hold me down so that someone else could poke me with a needle in my arm? How dare you do this? How could you do this? I thought you loved me. I loved you. Of course a child is incapable of understanding this. But we're more mature than that. And even if we can't understand the underlying reason, if we can't appreciate the justification, we should have enough trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should recognize that the Imam of our time is what? Al-Imam. Al-Akhu al-Shafiq. Al-Akhu al-Shaqiq wal-Abu al-Shafiq. As Imam al-Ridha says about the concept of Imamah, he is compassionate. He loves you more than your own mother loves you. You should at least have enough trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept that, right? One day, Imam al-Sadiq said something about Zurara ibn A'yan, who was one of his closest companions. Zurara? Imam al-Sadiq says, had it not been for Zurara, the legacy of my father, Imam al-Baqir, would have been obliterated. Had it not been for these great companions like Abu Basir, like Muhammad ibn Muslim, like Zurara ibn A'yan, the legacy of the Imam would have been wiped out, right? This Zurara, the Imam, says something about him that tarnishes his reputation. In other words, he criticizes him in a sharp manner. Zurara is shocked. What have I done? What is it that has made the heart of the Imam of my time upset with me? In fact, he was so saddened by this that he remained in his home for a number of days. He didn't show up to class. He didn't come to see the Imam because he felt embarrassed. Subhanallah. Now that's a true follower. That's a true companion. Doesn't blame the Imam. He blames himself. He's done nothing wrong, and yet he says it must be about me. It must be me. He stays in his home. He says the Mawla, the Imam, is upset with me. I don't want to hurt him by showing up in front of him while he is upset with me. So after a while, the Imam sends him a handwritten note. The handwritten note only had one verse in the Quran. Listen to the message that the Imam sent him. وَأَمَّا السَّفِينَةُ فَكَانَتْ لِمَسَاكِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ فِي الْبَحْرِ فأردت أن أعيبها وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا. The verse is in Surah Al-Kahf. We mentioned parts of the story of Khidr and Musa last night. This is one of those incidents. Khidr and Musa, they go aboard a ship. Khidr then decides to damage the ship for no apparent reason at all. He plucks out a board. He might dig a hole in it. He damaged the ship. Musa said, "Why would you do this?" Musa, in his incredible prophetic wisdom. This is Musa we're talking about. Not Mahdi, not any regular Joe, prophet of God. Ulul Azm. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, you think Musa was not wise or knowledgeable? He was wiser than anybody else as a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yet, you could be a prophet but not see the whole picture. You could be a messenger but fail to appreciate God's wisdom. Musa says to Khidr, why would you do this? What does Khidr say? He said to him, as for this boat, فَكَانَتْ لِمَسَاكِينَ, it belonged to poor people. There's a difference between miskin and faqir. A miskin is someone who has a means of making a living, might have a job, might have a bit of an income, but it's just not enough. It's hand to mouth. It's not enough to make ends meet, right? That's a miskin. A faqir is someone who doesn't have anything. And a miskin is deserving of charity and help, even though they might have a job. You might have a relative or a friend, a family member back home who needs your help, even though they have an income, but it's just not enough. Help them out. That's a part of your obligation. You'll be asked about this on the Day of Judgment. So he says, this boat belonged to masakin. يَعْمَلُونَ فِي الْبَحْرِ, who work in the sea. Whether it be transport, whether it be fishing, whatever it was. فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَعِيبَهَا, I wanted to damage the boat. SubhanAllah, notice how even though Khidr later says, وَمَا فَعَلْتُهُ مِنْ أَمْرِي, I didn't do this except by God's command. But in this verse, he doesn't want to blame God for the damaging of the ship. He says, I want to damage it. Exalting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though he's a prophet who acts on the instructions of Allah. He says, فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَعِيبَهَا, because there was a king who would usurp any boat that was sound and undamaged, forcefully, he would coerce people and take their property away from them. So I was trying to help them. I damaged the boat for their own sake. Imam al-Sadiq is telling Zurara, I damaged your reputation, but it was for your own sake, so that they don't come after Zurara and say, oh, here's a Rafidi, kill him. The deep-seated hatred that motivates the enemies of Ahlul Bayt Remember what Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi said when he first announced the first appearance he ever had, the leader of ISIS. Remember what he said? When he said that this is not my fight. Mosul isn't the battlefront here. The battlefront, the place where we will settle scores is in Karbala al-Munajjasah wal-Najaf al-Ashrak. I mention his actual words even though they are disrespectful, but I just want you to appreciate the hatred that motivates the people who follow as-Salaf as-Salih, the righteous predecessors, right? He said, we will settle our scores and we will avenge our grievances in the sullied and contaminated city of Karbala. When you and I call Karbala, Karbala al-Muqaddasa, the exalted and purified Karbala, we're referring to what exactly? To the people of Karbala or to the shedding of the sacred blood of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? So when he says that Karbala is najis, he's referring to Imam al-Hussein. Their enmity isn't with you and I. It's not with the school children in Kabul. It's not with the young people in the marketplace in Baghdad or Karbala or Karachi or Parachinar. They hate us because we say Ya Mahdi. They hate us because we say Ya Ali and Ya Fatima. Ya Ali. Now, so the Imam makes adjustments. You go through trouble, recognize that this is for your own good. Beseech the Imam, reach out to him, ask for his help. But don't you ever blame them. Don't you ever accuse God and his agents and the Imams of acting inappropriately, God forbid. Now I want to use the last few, perhaps 5-10 minutes of the time that I have to talk about, very briefly, about some of the obligations we have toward the Imam. Of course, if your very existence is dependent upon something, there's no way you can talk about all the obligations you have toward that thing, right? Our obligations to the Imam are as many and as innumerable as everything that exists in this universe. But a few of the highlights, I think it's important that we talk about them. Number one, and I'll run through them quickly. Number one is ma'rifah. Know your Imam. Recognize his role, his authority, the central position that he occupies, the proximity he has with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recognize the Imam as Wajhullah, Babullah, as-Sabab al-Muttasil. Because if you don't, brothers and sisters, what's going to happen is the chaos that we're getting a taste of right now in the Middle East. People who are losing their way. People who are falling prey to the deceptions of shayateen al-jinni wal-ins. People who are being fooled and led astray by imposters and liars. People who claim to be representatives of the Imam, or are the Imam himself, or the children of the Imam, or married to the Imam's daughter, and the endless lies and deceptions that we see nowadays. People who claim, if you remember a few years back, there was a video series that was made. I'm not even going to mention it because I don't want people to refer to that, but a video series was created and uploaded to YouTube. Millions of views talking about the signs of the end of times and whatnot. That entire video series, which went viral and everybody was watching it, everybody was completely excited by it, that entire video series was produced by a man who now claims to be the son of the Imam. In other words, see, that's how falsehood works. Falsehood works by mixing truth with falsehood. Falsehood is never really all about falsehood. If it was plain and simple falsehood, it would be obvious, it would be blatant. No one would follow it. The problem with batil is that it's always mixed with haqq. That's why your eyes need to be wide open. That's why you need to be well aware. That's why you need to be cognizant. That's why you need to sober up and wake up and realize that we're surrounded by misconceptions. It is a world filled with misconceptions. We're being bombarded by them every day. Recognize the Imam. Recognize the Prophet's household. Read a book for a change. Brothers and sisters, don't take your religion from the speaker alone. Speakers who are righteous, who narrate the traditions of the Ahlul Bayt, may Allah bless them and give them a long life. But even they are not sufficient. Even they're not enough to answer all the questions. And that's in addition to the fact that they're not infallible. They're not inerrant. They make mistakes. Don't make the mimbar your exclusive source of knowledge. The commander of the faithful says, and you've heard this hadith many times, the Imam says, إِنَّ الْحَقَّ لَا يُقَاسُ بِالرِّجَالِ. You cannot compare the truth with people. Don't make individuals, even if they're maraja', let alone a speaker, let alone some celebrity, let alone some regular Joe. إن الحق لا يؤخذ بالرجال لا يقاس بالرجال اعرف الحق تعرف أهله. Know the truth, you will know its people. Don't go with the people and try and use them as a measurement tool. Oh, this alim. Fine. May Allah bless all ulama. But alim isn't your ruler. The ruler is the truth. That's how you recognize the alim, not the other way around. Listen to this. Rasulullah says, أهل بيتي إنما مثل أهل بيتي كسفينة نوح من ركبها نجا ومن تخلف عنها غرق وهوى. The Prophet says, read the book of Ayatollah Lutfullah Safi Gulpaygani. Read these books that have been written to demonstrate the imamah of the 12th Imam from Shi'i as well as Sunni sources. He narrates hundreds of ahadith about the imamah of the Imam of our time. Hundreds from Shi'i and Sunni sources. Read An-Najm al-Thaqib. These books have been translated into English, by the way. Just look them up. Ayatollah Safi Gulpaygani, Imam Zaman. How hard is it to Google that? It's a 2-volume book. Read it. Recognize the Imam. Understand who he is. So that you don't end up following someone who is an imposter and a liar and a highway bandit because you simply didn't have enough knowledge to recognize the truth. There are highway bandits out there. There are pirates out there. They're waiting for you. They're waiting for me. They're waiting for our children, our youth. They're waiting for us like a wolf waits for a sheep to break loose from the flock. A moment of distraction and the sheep is gobbled up by this group of wolves, these savage animals who are out there trying to deceive our youth. In this book, Ayatollah Lutfullah Safi Gulpaygani mentions a whole host, a category of ahadith which mention the concept of the 12 Imams, right? Which is something that's mentioned in Shi'i sources in abundance as well as Sunni sources. I think he mentioned something like 900 hadiths and references where the Prophet said there will be 12 Imams after me. So much so that even sworn Wahhabis can't deny the hadith. What they do instead is misinterpret it. One of those people is Uthman al-Khamis. Uthman al-Khamis, for those who don't know him, is the epitome of Nasibis. He is the standard classical definition of a Nasibi in this day and age. How? He comes to this hadith. He says, well, what's the meaning of this hadith? The Prophet saying that there will be 12 Imams after me. Imams, and their number is 12. He says, some people ask us, what does this mean? And I will answer in multiple ways. The first answer is, we just don't know. Why are we even supposed to know? This has no practical application in our lives. There's going to be 12 Imams, so what? Thank you very much, Ya Rasulullah. You mentioned this hadith. Now go back to your house. We don't know. SubhanAllah. So 900 hadiths are narrated by various companions and tabi'een because it's some kind of a riddle, some kind of a Jeopardy quiz that Rasulullah is trying to give us just to make fun of us? That's answer number one. Answer number two, he says, well, if you want 12, I could come up with 12. Sure. Let me try. So he goes, you have the first 5 khulafa, right? Number 1, number 2, number 3. And then he says, Ali and Hassan. Then you have Muawiyah. Then obviously you have Yazid. Then you have Muawiyah ibn Yazid. Then you have Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. Then you have Uthman ibn Abdul Malik. Then you have this and that and that. Eventually, he's confused and he's like, oh, whoops, that's 15. Okay, let's start over. He says, let's see who we can eliminate from this group. So maybe we could eliminate Muawiyah ibn Yazid, Muawiyah the second, because he only ruled for like 2 weeks, so that doesn't count. I swear this is on a video on YouTube, look it up. He says, so let's eliminate Muawiyah from this equation. Now, let's see. So we have Abdullah ibn Zubayr, right? He says, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, yes, even though he was a self-proclaimed Khalifa in Hijaz, but his Khilafah was contested by Sham. And so, can we maybe eliminate both of them? Let's see, perhaps yes, perhaps no. And then he says, you know what? I know who we could eliminate. We could eliminate Imam al-Hasan, because he only ruled for 6 months and his khilafah was just an extension of his father's khilafah. So here's the list again. It is number 1, 2, 3. Ali, Muawiyah, Yazid. So Yazid is included in the list, but Imam al-Hasan is removed from the list. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We've got 12 khulafa. We've settled this problem and we've solved the riddle. SubhanAllah. Brothers and sisters, educate yourselves. We're living in an age where our youth know the lyrics to every salacious song by every lascivious singer. They can sing along perfectly. But if you ask them, is there a single hadith that you can attribute to the Imam of your time? And they'll start to stutter. Educate yourselves. Read a book or two. Stop reading your posts on Facebook and every comment and every like and every dislike, and maybe throw the phone away when you go to bed at night. Pick up one of these books and read. Educate yourself, because deceptions are coming. Dark clouds of misconceptions are already here. People are losing their path in droves. Imposters are a dime a dozen. People who claim to be the Imam or spokespeople for the Imam. Prepare yourselves. So that's point number 1. Ma'rifah, get to know the Imam. Number 2, ta'ah, obedience to the Imam. Brothers and sisters, we have a category of a hadith in our sources of hadith which say that if one does such and such, فَكَأَنَّمَا لَطَمَ عَلِيًّا عَلَى وَجْهِهِ. It's like you've slapped Ali ibn Abi Talib across his face. There's a category of a hadith, not just one sin, but multiple sins. I don't want to get into those sins. I don't want to mention them. But the point is, every sin is a slap across the face of the Imam of our time. Every sin is a dagger in his heart. Every time we transgress against the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it hurts the Imam. He is God's proof on this earth. Let's refrain from sins. It's simple. I swear to Allah, religion isn't complicated. It's not difficult. Al-Islamu sahlun yasir. I said this to a group of university and college students just the other night. I said, let's not make religion too difficult for people to digest or apply. Religion at its core is very simple. And if you must only do one thing to remain religious, avoid sins. اجتناب الحرمات أولى من اكتساب الحسنات. Avoiding sins is more important than trying to do good deeds and trying to go out there and, fast so many days in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban and pray these extra recommended prayers. If you pray your obligatory prayers, Allah will never ask you whether you prayed namaz shab or not. It's a hadith. Allah will never hold you to account for those recommended deeds. Of course, any recommended deed is an added bonus. It's beneficial for you. But if you don't want to do anything but the bare minimum, that's more than enough. May Allah bless you. Salah, brothers and sisters, if you strip salah to its most basic obligatory components, it takes no longer than 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I've counted it. If you strip it down. If you don't know, by the way, what are the most basic fundamental obligatory components of salah, look them up. Just pick up a risala, pick up a tawdih al-masail and read. You don't have to do all the recommended things. Just stick to the minimum if you must. So, obedience to the Imam, brothers and sisters. Obedience to the Imam also includes obedience to who? To the people that he left after him to convey God's laws to the people. Who are they? The Imam says, وَأَمَّا الْحَوَادِثُ الْوَاقِعَةِ. When events take place, when problems come up, what do? فَارْجِعُوا فِيهَا إِلَى رُوَاتِ أَحَادِيثِنَا. Refer back to who? To the ones who narrate our traditions. The ones who speak on behalf of the Imam. The ones who tell you what the Imams have said. Who are these people? They are the fuqaha, the jurists. Just jurists, meaning jurists who themselves apply the teachings of their masters and their mawlas and the Imam. Not someone who says one thing and then acts in a completely different manner. Not someone like me who is filled with sin from head to toe. Refer to the fuqaha, refer to the maraji', refer to the ulama. The people who spend decades learning the traditions of the Ahlul Bayt and the Quran and extrapolate rulings from them. 40 years, 50 years they spend. And then there are some of us out there who so casually say, oh, these maraja' don't know what they're talking about. These maraja' this, these maraja' that. الرَّادُّ عَلَيْهِمْ كَالرَّادِّ عَلَيْنَا. The Imam says, whoever rejects them has rejected us. Because when you reject them, you're rejecting the people who narrate what? The teachings and words of who? The Ahlul Bayt, the Imams. Refer back to them. Amir al-Mu'mineen says to Kumail ibn Ziyad, he said, Ya Kumail, ihfadh anni hada. Kumail, come, I want to tell you something and I want you to memorize it. Store it in your memory. So this is important, this is a big deal, the Imam is telling him. What is it? He said, Ya Kumail, an-nasu thalatha. People fall into one of 3 categories. There is no fourth, and it's not 2 categories, it's 3. Who are they? Alimun Rabbani. Either you are a divine erudite, you're a learned scholar who is also pious, who fears God, and therefore you are a teacher. You're a source of inspiration for the society. Either you're a alim, and a alim Rabbani at that. Don't say, oh, Mahdi al-Modarresi is very articulate, mashallah. His presentation is really good. Presentation and being articulate is worthless. What matters is substance. I can have the worst accent. My English could be broken into 1,000 pieces. What matters is substance. What matters is how many times I say, قال الصادق, قال الباقر, قال الرضا, قال الجواد. That's what matters. Now, Alimun Rabbani, number 1. Number 2, the Imam says, وَمُتَعَلِّمٌ عَلَى سَبِيلِ نَجَاتٍ. If you're not a teacher, you're not a scholar, then at least you're a student. You're a seeker of knowledge. You are humble enough to sit politely in the presence of these scholars and learn from them and ask them questions and refer to them. The third category, na'udhu billah. Most people fall into that. May Allah not make us among them. وَهَمَجٌ رَعَاء أَتْبَاعُ كُلِّ نَائِعَ. Have you seen these flies that hover above the nostrils of a sheep? Not the sheep. Forget the sheep. You have the flies that hover above the sheep. The Imam says the third category are these people. يَمِيلُونَ مَعَ كُلِّ رِيحٍ. Every time there's a wind that blows in this direction, they go in that direction. If it blows in the opposite direction, they go in the opposite direction. Why? Because the Imam says, لَمْ يَسْتَنِيرُوا بِنُورِ الْعِلْمِ. Their hearts have not been illuminated by the light of knowledge. Knowledge, what is knowledge? The knowledge that emits light is what? It is the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt al-Thaqalayn. لم يستنيروا بنور العلم ولم يركنوا إلى ركن وثيق. And they're not leaning on a strong pillar. Who are these ركن الوثيق? Scholars, ulama, maraja. اتبعوه. This is in Surah Yasin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala quotes this verse. Who do we follow? You might be confused. Who's a good scholar that I need to follow? The Quran makes it very simple. Two conditions. اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. Number one, they don't ask for any compensation. They're not asking you to, they're not in it for the money. They're not in it so that, according to the hadith of Imam al-Sadiq, يَسْتَأْكِلُونَ بِنَا. They're trying to fill their stomachs and make a living off of us, the Ahlul Bayt. They're not in it for the fame. They're not in it for the money. They're not in it for the wealth. لا يسألكم أجرا. And وهم مهتدون. And they themselves apply what they practice what they preach. If you see them going left and right, that's a big flashing red sign. Stay away. God bless you. I'm not going to judge you. But I'm not going to make you my teacher, my sage, my source of inspiration or knowledge. Right? So obey the Imam, obey the fuqaha who are righteous, and pay your khums. A lot of people come up to me and say, Sayyid, I've never paid khums in my life. What do I do now? Well, what were you doing all these years since you reached puberty and you reached maturity? You're now 25, 26, 30 years old, and you haven't paid khums? You know what that means, right? It means you never read the Quran. Because the Quran revealed, Allah revealed an entire chapter in the Quran called Al-Anfal. Al-Anfal means the spoils of war. And God set up an entire department to cater for the share of the Prophet and the Imams in the spoils of war. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَنفَالِ. They ask you about the spoils of war. Tell them, Allah says to the Prophet, that the Anfal belong to God and the Messenger. قُلِ الْأَنفَالُ لِلَّهِ وَلِلرَّسُولِ. The Prophet decides what happens with this. You have to give this to the Prophet or the Imam or the erudite jurists who are pious and righteous. You give it to them. And even if you think there is a good cause that you should give the money to, for example, you've got a neighbor who's poor, if you wish to give him from your own private money, knock yourself out. Feel free to do that. May Allah bless you. And you'll be rewarded. But if you want to give him from khums, you don't go to your neighbor and say, brother, I want to help you. Here's some financial assistance. Because this isn't your money. You tell him this is the Imam's money and I'm only entrusted with this money. And I've asked the marja, I've asked the scholar, I've asked the faqih, and he has given me permission to give you this money. Don't rub it in his face so that he feels indebted to you. This isn't even your money. This is God's money. This is as part, a lot of the youth here probably don't have a source of income. Right? What is khums? It's very simple. It is any excess money that you have which you haven't already spent in your reasonable expenses, as part of your reasonable expenses. Right? Don't cut any corners. Don't play any games. If you do get a handsome, sizable amount of money, don't take it and buy a Ferrari and say, oh, I'm using it. No, within means. Right? Within means. What suits you? What suits your position in society? Anything above that is beyond your means, and you have to pay khums on that as well. And all you pay is 1/5 of excess income at the end of the year. That's it. Moving on, and I apologize for taking so much of your time. Obedience to the Imam entails all of these things. And finally, brothers and sisters, love and mawaddah for the Imam. And the only way you can love the Imam is if you remind yourself of who he is and what he does and the things that we've been talking about and the many stories of tasharrufat, right? Many stories of people, especially scholars, especially ulama, but even ordinary individuals, even ordinary people. Let me tell you the story and wrap up. This happened very recently. There is a sheikh who studies in our hawza, in our religious educational institution in Karbala. His name is Sheikh Saad. He says that there is a very wealthy man who comes from the south of Iraq, perhaps Basra or Imara. He says, this man, because I'm a sheikh, he comes to me and he says, look, I have all these food and supplies that I'd like to give to the popular mobilization forces who are fighting ISIS at the front lines. And so, could you please help me? Because this sheikh has access, he can take him there. So he brings all these trucks filled with supplies and he helps him, the sheikh, Sheikh Saad, helps this man to take the supplies to the front lines. He said, one day he came to me and he said, I'd like you to come along with me. I want to go to the front lines close to Mosul. But I want you to help me deliver the supplies. But more importantly, I want you to help me find a man called Abu Maryam. He said, well, who is this Abu Maryam? He said, don't worry about it. It's just someone I need to find. And I have to find him. I'm not going back unless I find him. So he says, we went to the front lines where you have ISIS forces being fought by the Shia forces who are inspired by the fatwa from the Marja'iyah. And he says, we delivered the supplies and this man was looking through the camps of the mu'mineen in desperation. He kept asking, where is Abu Maryam? Do you know an Abu Maryam? They asked the commanders, they asked the leaders, they asked the infantry, they asked the foot soldiers. Anyone he could find, he would say, do you know an Abu Maryam? He said, I asked him, well, who is this Abu Maryam? Just tell me. He said, look, all I'm going to tell you is I don't know anything about him, but I can recognize him if I saw him because I've seen his picture. He said, so I became intrigued. Sheikh Saad said, I became intrigued. I said, let's go and find him. So we went around. Eventually, somebody told us that there is a camp close to us. And if I remember correctly, there's a man called Abu Maryam there. So we rushed to that camp. We went to location. And before we even arrived at the camp, my friend, this wealthy businessman, he saw somebody from the distance. He said, Hada Abu Maryam. I found him. There he is. He said he ran towards him. He held him. He hugged him. He kissed him. He said, please tell me who you are. Tell me, what's your story? He said, what do you mean? He said, well, I saw a dream. When the 12th Imam came to me in that dream, and he said, I will not be satisfied with you. I know you take supplies to the battlefield, but I'll never be satisfied with you unless you please Abu Maryam and his daughter. I want you to find Abu Maryam, please him, make him satisfied, make him happy, as well as his daughter Maryam. He said, I told him, Ya Mawla, oh Master, who is this Abu Maryam? How could I find him? He said, the Imam showed me a picture. He said, this is Abu Maryam. You'll recognize him when you see him. Now I found you. Tell me what your story is. Abu Maryam refused. He said, listen, don't worry about it. It's nothing. He said, but by that time, having told the story, Imam al-Zaman's involved, everyone had gathered around. His friends started saying, you have to tell us. You must tell us. We need inspiration. Tell us if there is some divine help happening here. He said, now that you insist, I will tell you. I come from the city of Imara in the south, from the same town as this businessman. He said, my day job is a laborer. And if you've been to countries like India, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, these laborers, they gather in the city square. Cars come by, and if somebody needs a laborer to go and do something, they pick them up from the square, they pay them a very menial amount of money, and they drop them, and they drop them afterwards in the same square. So if I have a job, I'll get paid. If I have no job, if no one hires me, I'm not going to have an income. It's not a steady stream of income. He said, so every 2 weeks we spend at the battlefront, we also get another 2 weeks to go back home to spend with our families. So I went back home. I was looking for a job. I couldn't. 2 weeks went by. No one hired me. So I was embarrassed. I don't have any money for my family. I don't have any money to get a car and go back to the battlefield. So I went to my mother. I said, Mom, could you maybe lend me 25, 30,000 dinars, which is about $20, $30. So my mother gave me a little bit of money. I came back to the battlefield. I fought for 2 weeks. Then I went back again to my hometown. This time again, economy is in recession, situations not conducive for people to find jobs. 2 weeks went by, I wasn't hired. I didn't have any money. So I went back to my mother. I said, Mom, could I get some money, please? My mother said, what is this you're doing to yourself? Why are you even going to the battle fighting? When you don't have a job, you can't look after your own family or children. Just stay here, look after your family. He said, I told her, Mom, but I'm a soldier that is at the becking call of the Imam of my time. My Imam wants me to fight, I'll fight. I don't care what happens. So my mom was upset because she felt like I was squandering my money, I was wasting my life. So I left the house. He said, I went back to my house. My daughter, she's about 4 or 5 years old. Her name is Maryam. She came to greet me at the door. I looked at her. She was wearing an earring, a pair of earrings. I said to my wife, maybe you can put her to bed, take those earrings so I could sell them and afford to give you a little bit of money and go back to the battlefield. I have to go back tomorrow. They're waiting for me. My daughter went to bed. My wife took the earrings. I took them, sold them for about 50,000 dinars. I gave my wife 25,000. I said, this is money for you to spend. I'm going to go, the other 25,000, in other words, about $20, I'll pay the taxi or the bus so that I can make my way back to the battlefield. And then he said, I have been here in the battlefront for the last 2 months because I can't afford to go back to my hometown. So that man said, he said, the Imam came to me in my dream. And he said, unless you please Abu Maryam and his daughter, I'll never be pleased with you. So here I am. Here's a box of jewelry that I've brought to give you. Your satisfaction is my Imam's satisfaction. Take whatever you want. Here's a box of jewelry that I brought. He opened the box. He saw the earring of his daughter Maryam right there. Let's reach out to the Imam. Let's beseech him. We all go through problems. We all go through trouble. The Imam himself says, إِنَّا لَسْنَا نَاسِينَ لِذِكْرِكُمْ وَلَا مُهْمِلِينَ لِمُرَاعَاتِكُمْ. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد يا وصي الحسن والخلفاء الحجاج أيها المنتظر القائم المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة ابن الحسن. We are celebrating your birth. On birthdays they bring a cake. Who gets to cut the cake? يا حجة ابن الحسن روحي فداك. When do we get to see you in our midst so that we can celebrate your birth in your presence? يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. What is the most important haja? It is the reappearance of our Imam. It is for the heart of the Mawla to finally be healed of its wounds. It is so that we can set our eyes on the luminous face of the Hujjah of Allah. Ya wajihan عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. Once again, يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. Once again, يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند يا الله. وصل اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
ज़ात में शब जुमा है, इसलिए हम ज़ियारत वारिसा पढ़ते हैं। अपनी जानिब से जुमला मोमिन और मोमिनात की जानिब से, ख़ास कर असीरान खान की जानिब से क़ुर्बतन इल्लल्लाह। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद, अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद, अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद। अस्सलामु अलैका या अबा अब्दुल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न रसूलिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस आदम सफ़्वतिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस नूह नबील्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस इब्राहीम खलीलुल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस मूसा कलीमुल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस ईसा रूहुल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस मुहम्मदिन हबीबिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस अली अमीरुल मोमिनीन वलियल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न मुहम्मदिल मुस्तफ़ा, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न अलील मुर्तज़ा, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न फ़ातिमत ज़हरा, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न खदीजतल कुबरा, अस्सलामु अलैका या सारल्लाह व इब्न सारे विलवतुल मौतूर, अशहदु अन्नका क़द अक़मत अस्सलाह व आतैत ज़कात व अमरत बिल मारूफ व नहैत अनिल मुनकर व अताअल्लाह व रसूलहु हत्ता अताकल यक़ीन। वलानल्लाहु उम्मतन क़तलतका वलानल्लाहु उम्मतन ज़लमतका वलानल्लाहु उम्मतन समिअत बिज़ालिका फ़रज़ियत बि या मौला या अबा अब्दुल्लाह। अशहदु अन्नका कुन्त नूरन फिल अस्लाब शामिखा वल अरहामिल मुतहहरा लम तुनज्जिस्कल जाहिलियतु बिअंजासिहा वलम तुलबिस्का मिन मुदलहिमात सियाबिहा वअशहदु अन्नका मिन दाइमिद्दीन व अरकानिल मुमिनीन وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرزي الزكي الهادي المهدي وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والأروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسوله إني بكم مؤمن وبيابكم موقن شرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. زيارة علي أكبر الصلاة والسلام. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. زيارة سائر الشهداء كربلاء عليهم الصلاة والسلام. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباء، السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وأبداء، السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي الولي الناصح، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله بأبي أنتم وأمي تبتم وتعبت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما، ويا ليتني كنت معكم ففوزا معكم. السلام عليك يا أبو الفضل العباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا شمس شموس أنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بأرزتوس، السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا روحي وجسمي لك الفداء راضي بالقدر والقضاء. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان مظهر الإيمان شريك القرآن يا حجة الله يا بقية الله في العرش. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله
Few quick announcements, ladies and gentlemen. Our next English program will be on May 12th after Zohrain. We have Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi visiting us. He's a very great alim. He resides in Toronto. If you've ever been to the Toronto Jaffrey Center, you must have seen him over there. He will be coming here just for one day. Inshallah, this program is right after Zohrain, and it's on the 12th of May. Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi. This will be a very special program, very interactive session with him. So inshallah, please keep that in your calendars. 12th May, right after Zohrain.